Guys, John Zannis here, Bobby Manning at the Garden, Josue joining in a little bit. Nice little win here for the Celtics, Bobby, over the Grizzlies. I mean, a lot of good things to say about it. This was a real kind of, crappy first half for both teams. The Celtics were just friggin' dynamite in the second half.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it back to the beginning to start us off here. To see them pile up the stops, this is kind of becoming emblematic of the kind of games that they play. The stop after stop after stop to start a game and then turning those into points the other way. It's becoming who they are, and that shows you that they're on certain nights. And Ime's talked about that lately too, getting off to strong starts. That's the key for this group lately. And to do it against a team like this that has a bunch of shot makers, that has Ja at the point of attack, holding him to no shots in the first, it's almost felt like that Philly game. Now, it didn't keep rolling to that degree. Memphis made a couple different runs, especially right before halftime there. But overall, the Celtics, the offense just continues to progress. You got this great defense that's dominating, but at the same time, you have an offense that's starting to whip the ball around like crazy. And I was super impressed by the job Tatum did again, but especially Marcus Smart, who had sloppy moments, but overall was just brilliant passing.
And Al.
Yes, and Al, best game since he left the Celtics last time.
That was awesome. Al was awesome. And they got some good fortune bounces on some weird kind of goofy, sloppy things that ended up in the right hands. But the pace that they played in that second half offensively, and Tatum said it in a post-game interview as well, just the snappy decision-making, the attacking, you could tell everything was just faster and quicker. Every decision Tatum made in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, was fast. When he got it, he attacked. When he got doubled, he passed out of it quickly. He was, I will say it, he was phenomenal tonight. That's like, granted, you can't say like, oh, I want that version of Jason Tatum that scores 21 points in the fourth quarter forever. But that's the player you want to see forever. He was awesome. And just the creative way he was finishing around the rim too. He was just, and the types of shots he was getting off, he was just amazing in that second half in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and energetic. Like he's so fluid right now. The minutes that he's playing, first of all, 40 in a game like this, and running the floor on breaks, lobbing it to Tatum, just doing stuff that makes it look like we said early in the year. He never left.
Phenomenal.
I mean, he's 35 now, playing since 07 or whatever it is. It's remarkable right now because he looked like he was on his last leg in Philly. Last year, started strong, defense good. Still not the same player offensively, but you look at the last 11 games from now, over 50% from the field. Now probably over 34, 35% from three. After three more in this one, actually four in the end, right? It's just unbelievable because I had high expectations coming in. Like in the preseason, I wrote it was the trade of the summer, getting him in here. I never expected a game like this year. This was incredible.
Right. What's up, Josue? Nope, nothing.
Sorry.
I
don't know who had the music worse, Bobby or me, so I decided to mute myself.
What's going on at the Garden these days? This is friggin' ridiculous.
It's like, well, Bobby, can you see? I'm farther back because I had to switch up my spot because there's no stools. They switched up the entire. We talked about it earlier, Bobby, but we can talk about that another time. What I was gonna come in and say is that what I love the most about Jason's game tonight was he didn't have one of those games where it took him to take. It took him 11, 12, 13 missed three-pointers to finally say, okay, now I need to start going in. He did it right away. I mean, he was ice cold in the first quarter. It seemed like from behind the arc. And I just personally feel like he's made such a stride in reading defenses and picking his spots. And he really did his homework against this Memphis Grizzlies team. Like I saw the game came so easy to him in that second half. And I really do think it's another sign of his maturation. I do think it may be another sign that he's going to go on another run here that we've been talking about. Something similar to what we saw like right before the bubble. Remember that, guys? That feels like well over like 3 years ago. But that's the kind of run I think Tatum could go on right now because everything is clicking at the right time. And of course, the way this team is playing on the defensive side of things is only going to elevate him to have more performances like this between now and the end of the regular season. It was incredible. It was such a good game from Tatum.
John, you've always been tough on his pace. Isn't it unreal the pace he's playing at?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, and I am tough on him because I can't when he plods, when he's deliberate, when he gets the ball high and he allows the defense to set. And the few times he did it tonight, it turned into bad things, because you could tell they had their eye on him a couple of times. And when he turned the ball over, it's slow decision making. When he makes quick decisions, when he attacks aggressively, you're just putting pressure on the defenders. You're not giving them time to set up for you. And then it allows him to kind of be creative with his finishes and how he gets there because he's got people on their heels. When they're waiting for him and he's doing that kind of 6, 8, 10 dribble setup just to take a contested shot is always when it goes bad. He didn't do that. I mean, certainly didn't do that much in the second half, but I mean, he didn't do it at all in the fourth quarter. Every possession was get it and find out where you were going to get to, and then found nice creative ways to kind of get off his shot. Floaters, left, off the lane, a little hesitation, side steps in the lane. I mean, it was really, really clever stuff that he was pulling off all game. And he passed out of it. He passed out of it quick. He made cross-court passes, skip passes out of the double to set people up. Couple hockey assists there. I mean, really everything was really, really sharp. You could just tell he was seeing the game.
Right, and I felt like, again, the defense allowed that. The Celtics came out strong to start off both halves in this one. And I feel like the Grizzlies, when they did finally get some momentum, especially John Morant, it was just a too big of a lead to overcome. Now, the Celtics did have some timely three-pointers, whether it was from Al Horford down the stretch or whether it was another one. I think it was Grant who hit one. I feel like this Celtics defense just really kept them on their heels. Like, the Grizzlies just never really looked so comfortable out there, especially when Bane and John Morant just couldn't find that rhythm until it was in that third quarter, essentially, when Celtics were going on their run. Now, also, Jason Tatum, I felt like I wanted to send a message here. This is a nationally televised game, which wasn't the case a few days ago. TNT picked it up, and I felt like he's hearing the hype about the Memphis Grizzlies and wanted to send the message, and he did. That's exactly what he did on his birthday, nonetheless. No question. Undoubtedly, Tatum had this one circled on his calendar, but to go out here and do it the way he did, man, he's really on another level right now.
Yeah, and I wrote about him after the last game, the strides he's making as a forward general, and I don't even label it as a point forward or whatever you want to call it, the point guard or
concert right now,
lead forward of the team, but just him making good decisions as a scorer and as a passer, and pretty much everything he's doing offensively is outstanding right now. And I thought my favorite play of the game was after that 12-3 push that the Grizzlies went on, got it back to single digits between the third and fourth quarter. He just gets right downhill and gets to the free throw line. You saw the same thing in the Atlanta game. They had a couple fouls on the Hawks early in the third quarter in that game. He just goes right at Gallinari downhill and gets the easy foul call and gets him into the bonus for the last 8 minutes of that quarter. His decision-making now, which I thought was bad early in the year, has gotten tremendous. And it's more than just making the great passes and, pushing the ball ahead and running hard and all the different things he's doing right now. He's putting himself in great positions to score, too. Some of these switches he's finding himself against, passing out of the double teams when he's in an advantageous position. And he's playing closer to the basket, John, a lot more often than we see him. Normally he's floating, and he's trying to break guys down at the three-point line. He's getting into the post area.
I love it.
10 to 12 foot lane.
That to me is because that's a good shot automatically, because just being able to rise up and shoot up and over people from 8 feet, 10 feet away is a much higher percentage shot than shooting step backs and fallaways from 18, 19, 20 feet. So he's already in scoring position if he can catch there.
And that's what used to drive me nuts. I mean, he's stopped doing that, right? He's starting to turn the corner more. The footwork is there. He's getting to the free throw line. And I don't know, maybe because it was his birthday, but I didn't see a single complaint to the referees. Like, that's dialed in.
There were.
Oh, were there?
Oh yeah.
All right, well.
You know what cracks me up? What kills
gonna go to zero.
Some of the obvious ones, I was surprised. I was like, wow, he didn't complain.
There's a couple. What cracks me up too, the TNT, the national broadcasts that don't do enough games, don't fully understand the bike thing. So every time he starts walking to the locker room, they get fooled, and they're like, "Uh-oh, Tatum's going to the locker room now. Something must be wrong." And then they're like, "Oh no,
he
it's
takes
just
the quick left turn."
And
now, guys, we're going to the locker room.
Fans watching, like,
because guys were going.
Yeah.
It was after Adams and Neesmith went. And then Tatum goes, and they're like, "Oh, so I think Tatum's hurt," and they're like, "Oh no, it's the bike, it's the bike."
He's just chilling. Someone sent him a note like, "Nah, that's his thing."
Nah, that's his thing. Because in the second bike cutaway they did, they were like, get off it. They were only on it for like a split second. They're like, no, he just rides it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, the complaints are there. What are you going to do? But he's still, who cares? I mean, that's never going away. But the style that he played tonight was I mean,
tough defense, too, to do it against. Yeah, you got perimeter defenders, a couple guys at the lane that you can throw on him. Suddenly big guys at the rim and Adams and Jackson who can block shots and make physical plays in and around there. Nothing looked that difficult for Tatum. And that's the key, too. He's leaning on easier plays. Those high difficulty shots that we saw him take early in the year and just the grind that the game looked like for him. It's gone. And even a play in the first half, I forget exactly when it was, but he made a quick dish out to Al. Al made an extra pass to Smart, I believe it was. And Tatum resets himself in the corner for an easy three there. And like stuff like that just gets him open looks. The transition run certainly as well. He just made the game a lot more easy for himself. And he's still not shooting great this year. This is a fine one for him. But he's getting himself in a lot more easy positions to score and not making it difficult on himself by taking hard threes or fadeaways or mid-rangers out there.
Yeah.
It's great to watch. You feel really confident in him right now with the ball in his hands, don't you?
Yeah. I did want to. We'll circle back to a bunch of different things here, but you know, the major takeaway is just just lights out win over shorthanded over a quality opponent. We talked about like good wins against quality teams, guys who aren't missing people. There's one, like. That Memphis was whole, right?
They piled up a few, and 3 MVPs.
But I mean, we've always been able to find something, right? Well, this guy's out and this guy's out because so many teams have people out right now. Am I missing something? Who was Memphis missing tonight? No one. Memphis comes in, and granted, they're on the road.
Dylan Brooks, but he's been out forever.
Yeah, he has. And this Memphis team is like neck and neck with Golden State in the West out there. They're 8 games better than the Celtics. They didn't look like a team that's 8 games better than the Celtics. And again, obviously they didn't have a great shooting game. This is the number 3 seed in the East. Phoenix is far and away the best team. They're neck and neck with Golden State ahead of Utah.
We have breaking news right here on the air. Celtics make their big addition. Nick Stauskas joining
They got Stauskas?
Yeah. 2-year deal with the Celtics.
Oh, my God. Really?
So there's your shooter having a phenomenal year in the G League shooting.
Phenomenal year.
Yeah, with Denver's G League team. He had to do a little stint there for a couple of years. Hasn't played. I don't think he's played in the NBA since 2019. So we'll see how he shifts to the pro game. Obviously, didn't do well in this league coming in the draft that year with Philadelphia and others. It's a big signing for Boston, though. If you've been following the G League this year, Stauskas has been lights out from 3. And I'm going to pull up the stats and other stuff. But when I wrote about the buyout options right around mid-February, he was definitely up there for me.
I remember people liked him coming out. Right.
Yeah, knockdown shooter. And he'll be a guy that could find his way into the rotation. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen with Neesmith right now. Though one of the 10-day guys they have a 15th spot that they can add him to, so they don't even need to subtract anyone.
They don't need to
make
subtract
this move. So, good signing. Nice cherry on top to this win. That's a real good piece to add for the stretch run here.
So Neesmith got the Paul Pierce treatment on the way out, huh? He was in a wheelchair?
Yeah, it was in the hallway. Well, it was in the hallway. Abby Chin reported it. But it looks like Ime said it was a pretty significant sprain. So, it doesn't look good for him.
Yeah, he couldn't put any weight on it.
We'll see what they say tomorrow.
This could be the last time we see Aaron Neesmith ever. This was pretty sad, actually. This was sad. I tweeted before the game, and I wasn't being sarcastic.
You gave him the kiss of death.
I know.
I said hyperbole tweet? Yeah.
Without hyperbole, this is the biggest start of his career, and I meant it. Because it was a good team. You know, he's got Bane on the other side there, and obviously that's a guy that Celtics fans have their eye on because that was a guy that, one, you could have drafted yourself, but you kind of gave away for nothing there. And he's been terrific this year, even though, you know, not as good of late. But, you know, the chance to play with the starters and the thing we always wanted to see him do, and just you be you, buddy. Go out there, play your game. You get to be Jaylen Brown today. You get to cosplay and be Jaylen. Just go out there, shoot, score, do everything that you do, and bang. Oh, I mean, his first shot, hideous, and then the ankle injury gone, and that's it. I mean, and as you said, couldn't put any weight on it, but I mean, man, just I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, look, I'm not gonna, dial it back to what I was saying a couple of nights ago, where I just didn't see him all of a sudden coming together, whether it was becoming a 3-point knockdown shooter or just a viable option on offense for this team. What I did have hope for was that he could be a defender, that he could transition into that side of things and sort of hold it down or do his best to while Jaylen Brown worked his way back. But now he's not all together. So, the signing is obviously good timing for the Celtics team because they still need that shooting that they've missed all season long.
And they might get it here in Southgate. I think there's a real chance that this guy could.
I think they might.
Fight for them.
Yeah.
So
why is he sitting out there, Bobby? I mean, like I said,
he hasn't played in the NBA in a long time.
I know.
So
how are you going to get excited over a guy that during this entire season, when 40% of the league was down at the same time with COVID, and guys are signing, Jesus, I forgot the name.
Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
Off the street.
He did have a short run with one team during that stretch. I forget who it was. Might have been Miami.
I mean, you can't get excited about anybody and think they're actually going to help you. But, I thought when Nesmith went down, however short and then when White went down as well, they were that short at wing. I thought you might see some Hauser. Nothing. No,
not tonight, though. I don't think so. That would have been a tough spot.
I mean, his volume's been massive in the G League. And, Hauser, that's true for him, too. I think they're both, 42, 43%.
Hauser's doing the same stuff in the G League, and he can't sniff a minute. So I mean, let's be realistic here. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, and he's got the defense too, because we know how Udoka rolls with that thing. It was interesting tonight. I didn't know how they were going to go with the wing thing because Brown and Nesmith. That's about all.
No, the Grant made sense.
Tice ended up getting some 4 minutes too, so that worked out well. I thought he had a good game.
If you thought you hated double big, wait till you see triple
big.
I actually
thought Grant might get the nod over Nesmith.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was surprised Nesmith got the start, but at the same time, it led to what we saw from Grant, which is steady shooting, I guess, right? 3 for 3, or at least he started off 3 for 3.
He started 3 for 3, finished 4 for 6. I mean, didn't do a ton. But I mean, that other bucket that wasn't a 3 was a nice little cut to the basket there.
Yeah,
and a nice finish as well.
Now. He's driving more. He's very comfortable with that ball. And
he's
I
doing
think it
a
has
lot
to do with his conditioning. I really do. From the very beginning, you could tell that was that was on the top of his list this past offseason, and we're seeing it around.
Yeah, driving closeouts, stuff like that he didn't do before.
Yeah, never. So he was shy to do that. Once he saw a defender coming his way, he would get rid of it, but not this time.
Yeah, all around excellent win. I don't know who else do we want to hit on at this one. I thought Smart was great, passing wise. He made some of the best passes I've seen all year, maybe throughout his whole career. That lob to Tice and put them up. I think it was 16 at that point. That was a great play.
Behind the back to Al.
That pretty much put the game away. Yeah, behind the back, not even really looking where it was going, but knowing where Al was on that play.
Just all of it. It was just lob city. You've got Horford. You got Tatum throwing a lob. You got Horford throwing a lob to Tatum.
Horford throwing a lob as well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was
the Tice lob, though. That was nice, man. He hung up there for a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, he still has that in him. He still has that athleticism. I like it.
That was perfectly placed. Yeah, got up over Anderson. Big play, 3-point play. The ball movement for this offense has overcome a lack of shooting, a lack of great penetration all around.
But that's what we said last game.
Offense, but they're just producing great shots.
That's kind of what we were saying, though, right, Bobby? It's like they have to play. They can't coast. They have to play max focus, max effort all the time. They have to focus. You can see it too. They've had now 2 first halves in a row where they were clearly they kind of forgot themselves and probably went into the halftime and Ime said, "Hey, no, like no, that's not what we
Yeah.
do.
It
Attack,
took him
attack, attack."
a minute and a half to call that timeout. Yeah.
Last game against Atlanta, they came out in the second half, and it was very clear, no, attack. And everything in that third quarter was go to the basket,
I
go to
just
the basket, go
imagine
to the
Ime
basket. And then
when
in this game, it was all about pace. They were moving slow. They were deliberate. They were sloppy. And it was, come on, pick it up. And they did. Completely different team in the second half, 2 games in a row.
Ime's always talking about showing film at half when things aren't going right. And I just imagine him after like this half and the one on Tuesday rolling in like that TV that you used to watch in class when there was a movie on, and everyone's just like, "Oh crap, here we go."
But you have to love that though. And again, for all of the people in the world who were like, pointing fingers at Ime and Bobby, we're not saying this to take a victory lap, but you and I were always like, I don't get it, because I didn't get it. I thought Ime was strangely being scapegoated. It's hard to look at of all of the things like. We're not in there, okay? We weren't in the locker room to be able to determine what was going on with Brad, why they weren't responding, why you'd have crap first halves and then crap second halves. And it was so perplexing, and that's what led everybody to believe that they've tuned him out. Ime's got their attention because you see very clearly at times when they go out and they play like crap, and then they come out and they respond. They're responding to something, And he's clearly had a couple of times where halftime messages, quick timeouts, and this and that. They've come out great off of timeouts. How many times? They had a couple of runs today, like a 6-0, 7-0 run coming off a timeout. They come out of halves. Their ATOs have been
I wrote
great.
earlier in the year.
Whatever he's saying to them is landing.
I wrote a BSJ piece earlier in the year that he had the best out of timeouts points per possession
He did.
in the NBA.
I remember when that stat made the rounds, everyone was like, "Oh, I guess I should stop saying all that stuff I was saying."
Well, I feel like everyone was sort of going back to the days where Brad used to come out, the ATO, out of the timeout, and come up with these plays, and people sort of trying to see if Ime could do the same thing. But I think it's been more of a, like 4 or 5 minute stretch where guys are really dialed in and out of that timeout. That's made all the difference, Whereas most people were just looking at this, spectacular play off the inbound that they were expecting. Like Brad used to do.
Bobby, I meant to ask, was there a White update from Ime? We lost you. Audio. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
I'm having trouble with the mute button here. But
Go ahead.
Yeah,
we got you.
I didn't see an update from White out there. It was kind of weird. He was on the bench in like a warm up and he was available to return, but it never looked like there was any intention of putting him in either because the game was still around like a 10-point range at that point. But it was really bothering him, the left elbow contusion as they called it. I didn't see exactly where it happened though.
It looked so minor on the broadcast.
I just remember when he was laid out, but I didn't think much of it.
No, it was before that.
Noticing. Oh, it was before that? Oh, okay.
It was before that. It was just on a little screen, like on a switch down low. And he just kind of ran into somebody just with his hands like that. And then immediately, whatever. So it felt like something.
He might have bent it backwards.
Jammed, bent.
Yeah.
Something strange. It looked, he took a much bigger hit trying to draw a charge than he did on the play that he
had a great game.
He did not have a great game, Bobby.
I thought he was awesome. Switching defensively, he was everywhere defensively.
He was. Al
Horford had a great game. I think Al Horford had a great game.
Yeah, but
I don't think he shot away from the switches. I don't think he shot away from those threes that we've been talking about. He knocked a few down. Rebounding, effort, he was all over the place.
Yeah, he had the better game, but White, ton of switching activity, and this is kind of what they pictured with him. Being able to switch 1 through 3, there were a lot of bigger guys on Memphis going at him. And John mentioned there, took a charge, continues to block shots, ultra competitive on that side. Kyle Anderson tried to take him way inside on another play.
Hey, he hit a couple.
Critical what they're doing.
He hit a couple threes. he hit a couple threes when he had to. He had the one where the defense kind of flew by and he hit it from the corner. That was nice. I mean, he's got to be able to knock down the wide open ones. If he does that, he's fine with White.
John's like, all that defense stuff is cool, but give me
I love it.
John,
The defense. You're counting on the defense, but again, the team needs more. I mentioned this again in the game. I do believe that White does a ton of things super well, and it's never going to show up in the box score. The defense is elite. The team defense playing off the ball. The whole unselfish. Everything that he does is great. He pushes the pace, but what he doesn't do particularly well is magnified in games where you don't have one of your top scorers in Jalen, because he gets put in positions, especially if he's ever on the floor in a lineup that doesn't have Tatum, where someone's got to shoot the ball and you're just kind of like, which one of us is going to do it? So that's where you're the thing that he's not particularly good at, which is creating offense or being being someone who can shoot the basketball, is when it comes out. But he'll drive the ball. He's got that little floater game going. I mean, last game he had that little 9-0 stretch in the third quarter when they needed it. He kind of heated up around the same time here in this one when he came in. It's fine. He's exactly what you need. It's just when he plays up and when he bumps up, especially in that starting lineup, because of the lack of shooting, it's very, very noticeable, which is why clearly if he's going to try Nesmith in the second half of last game and then starting him again this game, and then when Nesmith goes down to go triple big, Ime obviously recognizes it as well. He's trying to spread, he's trying to be selective with which lineups he plays White in. You see him playing alongside Pritchard a lot too, just to make sure they're shooting. They're cognizant of the fact that the shooting is an issue. So it is what it is. I mean, he's not going to be knocking down 40% of his threes.
these are just the guys you have at this point, too.
It's just the guys you have. So you make do with it, right? They're making do with it. Yeah.
I get what you're saying, John, because without the offensive explosion from Jason Tatum, I mean, you would need those buckets, right? You would turn to White for those threes. And I mean, he did get hurt, but even before that, it didn't seem like he was going to have one of those games like he had a couple of nights ago. But luckily that wasn't the case for the Celtics. I mean, Tatum did what he did, but I'm with you. With Jalen being out of the mix, and Tatum's gonna need that extra offense from somewhere. I think you will need nights for Derek White.
Let me ask you, the people here who think that this is negative, what are we supposed to say? That Derek White's a good shooter? What are we supposed to say?
Well, here's the thing. I mean,
come on, guys.
It's the same reason.
We were like,
no, I mean, he shot 31% in San Antonio. He's like, his career shooting. This isn't his first 10 seconds in the league. Over his life, he's not a great shooter. Why do we have to lie? Do we have to lie so people won't?
Well, it's not about the shooting; it's about his overall game.
I know, but when
can we say have the best shooting game?
Is it okay to say that he does a lot of things well, but the shooting is an issue, and it's accentuated when you have a lineup out there where he's called upon to shoot? That's not a stretch, guys. Everyone, that's just what it is. It's not negative. It's just a reality.
Game, that's fine.
It's the same thing when you say when you've got the double big lineup. You have Al out there and you have Rob out there, and neither's really a threat to shoot. That's not insulting to those guys. It's just a fact.
This is where nationally the Celtics are going to get understated as contenders here, because it's all happening on the defensive end, and people aren't watching defensive plays and activity and what's going on that end. They're focused on shot making and points and highlight plays, and you do have some highlight plays with this team defensively. Those back-to-back blocks by Allen.
As long as they keep lobbing it, they get enough highlights.
No, I mean on the defensive end. So, a lot of it's just deterrence, preventing teams from shooting in the interior at all. Guys running out, you can't even find those on like a play-by-play because guys are just turning back the other way when they're seeing Rob and Horford in there. And even if they're trying to take a guy like White inside, it's super difficult. You don't have advantages here. Saw the Morant trying to go at Tatum a little bit. No daylight there. White, you do see why he's ranked as like one of the upper tier defenders in the game, like maybe one of the best period, because of the fact that 1 through 3, guys just can't go at him. Anderson tried, Morant tried at times. No one could do it. This guy's just a brilliant defender, and you're really starting to see why they valued him so much in that sense, because we wondered, they were a great defense before he got here. Could they go up to an even higher level? I think they have.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
so.
I
For
mean,
sure.
they
I
have
think they have.
every number out there that tracks it, just in terms of White's defensive presence, has him as an absolutely elite defender. And just the team defense when he's out there, because of the length,
That's
makes
what
it
it is. Yeah.
makes it so ridiculous. Because when you have Smart and him together in a lineup if you have that lineup out there with the Tatum and Brown
And Rob.
and it's so freaking switchable, and you really do have those times when those guys are all out there together where it looks like it's 5-on-6. They're switching so easily that it feels like everybody with the ball is being double teamed. It's so quick and seamless. Teams can't gain any ground on them, so they can't. All of a sudden, the shot clock whittles down to nothing, and you're like, we're nowhere near where we want to be able to attempt a quality shot. It's really, really amazing to watch. So that's good. I mean, we pulled that chart the other day from the article we were looking at, Bobby. I mean, you go all the way down 1 through 7, and you've got plus defenders pretty much throughout the game. So, I mean, that's clearly the formula. White obviously makes them better because who's he playing minutes over at this point? He's playing minutes over Schroeder for the most part. Richardson was fine, but you got an elite defender playing over a below average defender. So, I mean, he's eating up all the Schroeder minutes. Their defense is so much better.
Yeah. They do have to find a Richardson though. Like a minute.
I mean, that was the sacrifice. You lost a little shooting. Yeah.
I'm just talking about the rotation
Yeah.
spot, though. It's are you going to play double big all the time with Tice filling in 4 minutes? Are you going to use Stauskas here? So if Neesmith's out for a little while here, I know you're playing Pritchard at the 2 a little bit, but there's a gap that's going to be filled there.
They just don't have it.
By someone, I think. Maybe you just keep it ultra tight and it's like that sprinkle at Pritchard, and that's it.
That's it. You're going to play alongside. You're going to sprinkle in Pritchard minutes. Like I said, they're going to do that Pritchard-White combo a little bit, I think, just to get some shooting.
And that's look good.
And as long as when Jalen comes back, you're just I mean, look, Neesmith wasn't really in the rotation when Jalen was healthy. So, no. I mean, Ime said it before the game. He's like,
yeah,
it's a spot start, like it's we're trying to keep our rotations, and he's, closer to what Jalen is than anyone else.
Yeah.
That first shot, an air ball.
I know. Yeah.
So bad.
What happened? I don't think anyone knows.
What do you mean what happened? It never happened, Bobby. It didn't even start. What do you mean what happened?
But they drafted him. We came on this show and said best shooter in the draft, and now he's the worst shooter in the league.
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn, Bobby.
Way
to kick a man while he's down.
3% on wide open threes. Hope he gets better.
We're never gonna see him again, like ever.
You really think that?
Yeah, I think that we've
seen not just in Boston, but.
I think it's Celtics. I think that's the last time
and we love him.
Celtic.
John and I interviewed him. We yucked it up with him. He's a great guy, but man, is he playing bad.
You want him to succeed so bad for a million reasons. You want him to succeed because they need exactly what it is he's supposed to do. He's trying so freaking hard, and his brain has to be broken over the struggles.
Yeah, I mean, even after that air ball, he ran right back on the defensive end and swatted a pass away and got a steal there.
Yeah.
He's trying the best he can, but it's just not clicking. And now an injury on top of it, a bad injury, something that can kind of make you unstable coming back from something like that. Oh, what a blow to him without much time left in the season. You're right, John, at least for this year. Who knows if you do see him again.
I don't know.
Well, on the bright side, at least the Celtics had they reached a season high in assists tonight. So I think that's another thing that Derek White does for you, on offense. He's not going to always knock down those 3-point shots, but he's going to make sure that ball is whipping around.
Look, whether it's him or just a combination of him instead of Schroeder, because again, Schroeder's not the guy who does that. And again, he's mainly taking away. I know there's Richardson in there as well, but he's taking a lot of those minutes with that second unit. Whether it's a direct replacement of that or also at the same time just kind of buying in a little bit more with what Ime has been trying to get him to do all year. The pace of the offense has been much better since White joined. Just everything. Everything is quicker. Everything is quicker in the half court.
For sure.
Because again, the ball just whips around. That's not a guy who's sitting there and dribbling the air out of the ball ever. By the way, Marcus Smart did the walk up this time. Today he did the Dennis Schroeder walk up, and Twitter did not freak out, and I want to know why. Okay,
he did that in Brooklyn too, and he pulled up from like half court and hit a three.
I want to know where was the Twitter freak out when he did that.
Smart, we had some awful moments in this one. I know, like I thought it was one of his better passing games I've ever seen when the passes did connect, but the turnovers were out of control at certain points, and he was taking risky ones. He had to be a little more aggressive with Brown.
That's
out there,
all right.
So I gave him some leeway on that, but there were some scary ones, especially early when Memphis was just running out over and over again. That's where you got scared. Into halftime, it got sloppy again, and then there was a big run between the third and fourth quarters. And how about that dunk Ja threw down with the left hand? Smart was playing, hedging against Smart, rose up. We're kind of in the corner where he caught it over here. And I thought Smart
He used him for leverage.
Yeah, I thought Smart was going to get up high enough to bat the pass away because he was hedging so hard over there. And Ja just kept rising and rising and rising way above his head. And he had a quiet, 38 in this one?
Unbelievable, 38. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, he's something.
That's about as quiet as a 38-point performance you'll ever see.
Right? Yeah. That's a real superstar effort there, because when you score 38 and it felt like you had a bad game, because they did do a good job on him.
Yeah, didn't have
That's
a bucket
usually what happens with
quarter.
certain players when they have a quiet 20, a quiet 25. Who has a quiet damn near 40 points? Like John Moran, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he shot 30 times, though. I mean, this was he went for it.
So he's the kind of guy they're having a lot of success against right now. And I'm super interested on Sunday because Durant is kind of the prototypical guy we look at and say, this is a guy that could break this defense because he can make shots. He can burn guys in isolation. You don't really have a great option to throw at him. I'm super interested if the defense can keep blowing right through a guy like him, because if anyone in the league is going to break up this run right now, it's him. And you've seen them shut down Durant. And you've seen him shut down.
But he's defense proof. So it's not them, it's everybody. It's the world. I mean, it's just there's never been anything that's been able to stop him, because what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, he just
what if they do?
Right.
What if they go out and really make life difficult for Durant and Kyrie, who are just two of the best shot makers, period, in the league? You're looking at this defense right now and saying, what's anyone going to do?
But it doesn't matter, because if you play your style of defense, and yes, you can switch people onto him, he can shoot up over the top of every single person.
Guys.
So it doesn't matter,
There's two guys in the East I'm really worried about in that regard. It's him. Hopefully they don't have to see him just because so much is going wrong there. And DeRozan, who torched them a couple of times earlier in the year, and still, you see the shots he gets off. It's unreal. So the way to beat this defense right now is either to be killer in isolation, as Tyrese Halliburton was with the Pacers on Sunday there, spreading the ball around and finding guys in open space against that defense, hitting a bunch of threes, which teams have really struggled to do against their length, and making great shots one-on-one against guys, against those switches. Like, there are only a few guys in the league that can do that at that level, John. And the Morants, Giannis's, Embiid's, the guys who are just trying to go at a defense sheer will, score in the paint a bunch, they've really struggled against the Celtics. And you've seen it through this whole stretch here. Jokic even turned the ball over 9 times.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Nets are the wild card always. Like I said, it's because it's just, Durant's indefensible. So, like, you could throw everything you have at him. You don't know if it's going to matter. I know they lost Harris today, so that hurts them a little bit. The Simmons news is getting worse. That he's not going to play for
all of March now.
All of March, it looks like, and then who knows what after that. So
all of March.
This is starting to trend.
It's what I figured, man. It's going to take a while to ramp up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We don't know because he might not have done a freaking thing, right?
Why? Because Bobby, he was
on him.
Afraid to suit up all year long. What do you mean? Why? It is on him, but at the same time, it doesn't mean he's going to all of a sudden wake up and say, "Oh, I want a different team. Let's go. Let's get it." Like, he's not ready for that yet.
Everyone thought that. Everyone thought
Brooklyn needs him.
Even the story from his camp, a lot of the reporting that was out there was that once he got the wish, he was going to be ready to play, and he's not. And it's just another thing
No,
to add
there's-
to the
there's-
line of stuff working
there's more
against them
to it.
here. Maybe,
Never
which
mind
makes
his,
you more concerned if you're the
never
Nets.
mind.
Yeah. By the way,
Never mind being
Durant.
NBA ready when you haven't been practicing much. And
Durant
I don't know what to
31.
say.
Durant 31 in his return tonight. By the way, 35 minutes.
Against Miami?
Yeah. Any worries about like ramping up and the load and his knee? 35 minutes in his first game with 31 points.
No, I have no concerns about him. He's going to be lethal. And that's why my whole point about Sunday is if they make it difficult for him, look out. I don't think there's anyone out there that can solve this defense if he can. So it's like the
That'll
true.
be
You're not
interesting.
expecting him to do it. It's not the test. If they're not capable of doing it, you don't say, "Oh, fraud defense, fraud run." You say if they do it, wow, that's like the final chapter, the final test in this defensive rise.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because they obviously Curry's playing, but they got Dragic. Dragic started tonight. Because also you have no Kyrie because it was a home game.
In Brooklyn, yeah.
You will have Kyrie, you'll have Curry, you'll have whatever. They went with Brown and Drummond tonight, but I mean, that's as good as it's going to look, for these guys right now until they get Simmons back. So we'll see. We'll see how it looks.
And they're behind, with every loss, and they lost tonight, right? I saw in the comments.
The Nets lost at Miami, yeah.
So they're in a bad standing position right now. And you talk about the Kyrie situation. Maybe it works out that they can get him for Brooklyn, but it's not going to work out for Toronto if they have to go to Toronto for a playing game there. They can bounce out in the playing game. Anyone can. I mean, It was surprising that Charlotte did last year, and Washington ended up squeezing in there. It's weird stuff can happen in the bottom end of that game, and if it doesn't, you have a tough first round matchup if you them. Luckily, the Celtics, there's no path to them playing the Nets early. Feasibly, it looks like things can shake up in a weird way, but you feel good about avoiding that matchup, right?
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's because no matter where the Celtics fall, conceivably, I mean, you're still looking at as highest. You could in a 2-7 scenario. That's the highest the Celtics could get, probably. We keep saying the highest the Celtics could get. They're only 4.5 out, but they could conceivably. They're only 2 games out of the 2 spot.
They're winning a lot of games.
It's 4 in the loss column. I think you're just feeling like the Celtics are going to be 3 through 6, which means none of those teams are going to play Brooklyn because Brooklyn's not going to get as high as 6 most likely. They're going to be in play-in territory. It depends how much Cleveland tanks. And Toronto might, is coming back down to earth a little bit. And then Atlanta's starting to play. I think Atlanta might kind of surge there too. But I can't see it. Standings wise, I think you're going to avoid Brooklyn.
I don't know if any other team has a harder remaining schedule though. Like the Nets, it's brutal. I mean, you got
a lot of home games too, right?
What's that?
A lot of home games too,
yeah,
right?
A lot of home games. You got matchups against the Sixers. Who else? You got the Mavericks coming up, the Jazz, the Grizzlies, the Heat again, the Hornets. I mean, these aren't easy games for this Nets team. The Hawks down the stretch. I mean, one of the last games, or the last game is against the Pacers. I guess that's not too. I mean, depending where they are. I mean, if they want to just be spoilers, but I just don't think it gets easier for them. Also, and you couple the fact that Kyrie, this mandate thing hasn't gone his way. It's just. I don't know. I think it's tougher for Brooklyn right now. I don't know what happens to them, and if they do get in there, I would be. I don't know. I don't think they're as scary now because of the Kyrie situation, which could change between now and the playoffs, between the mandate rules and different places. But we'll see.
And the rhetoric out of the mayor's office isn't encouraging for him. You can debate whether or not it's the right thing to do, but it doesn't feel like that's going to let up in time, at least for the end of the regular season there, because time is running out. We're into 20 games now, and not to mention the rhythm thing with these guys. It is a serious question of whether or not they have enough time and reps to play with each other right now, and not to mention an uneven playoff series or a play-in streak of games to get into the playoffs there, where you have Kyrie one game, not the next. I've been concerned about that all along. That's just not how you play in NBA basketball. And you heard Durant getting a little more frustrated with the whole situation today, or maybe yesterday, talking with the media. There's just not a good sense that they have enough time to string all this together. And You know, they have a good-looking squad for next year for sure if it comes together, but it's just so late in the game, and these guys have played together so little at this point. I don't think Nash has done a great job playing up the young guys and other contributing role guys through this long string of games where they've just kept losing, kept playing some of the worst defense in the NBA, and you know, just continuing to be super inconsistent shooting and everything else. You got Blake Griffin, who looks like he has nothing left at this point, and Aldrich, who's in and out of effectiveness. It's just not an inspiring group. It's really not. And everyone keeps waiting for them to flip the switch. I don't know. Like, when has a 7 seed ever really gone on a run to the finals? Like, they said the same thing about the Lakers last year. It was like,
Right.
oh, when they hit their stride,
No one wants to
and
play
then
the
they almost
Lakers.
lost
Yeah.
they almost lost in the play-in tournament, and then they got smoked round 1.
Yeah,
I have little to no faith in the Nets.
No, my favorite is the LeBron James tweet that's resurfaced. Remember the one he put out in summertime? Everyone keep that same energy all season long.
Talk about
everyone
them.
down in the Lakers, keep that same energy. Like, yeah, it's still there. That energy's still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a talent game, right? But at the end of the day, you are who you are by the end of the year. And I think the Nets have kind of written who they are at this point. Now, it's still going to be a massive challenge on Sunday. It's still a great test for this team. But fortunately, the way the playoff bracket's lining up here, I don't know how impactful they're going to be when that time comes. I just don't.
All right. One thing I want to talk about before we wrap it, and again, this was like, you know, I like this game as much as I've liked any game recently, just because, like I said, is the team they played that was fully, you know, that came with everybody they have, and you missed Jalen. So I don't want to understate the victory. This was great. The Nets is another one where you really want to see it. I mean, we said at the beginning of this week, after losing 2 out of 4 and 2 of them being to crappy teams, you know, is this a regression to the mean? Which Celtic is the old Celtics starting to rear their head? Was the real team somewhere between that one that ran off all of those wins and the one we saw earlier in the year? And are they going to settle back into one on, one off sort of mode? So to see them do what they did, especially after playing kind of crappy first halves against both Atlanta and Memphis, is super, super encouraging. If they put the wood to the Nets here on Sunday, at this point, you got to feel like this is the actual Celtics, right? You know,
right. Especially without Jalen. Yeah,
because that's the always that fear when you've seen it. It's hard to unsee it, right? You saw how bad they were, even with a full unit, just disjointed, bad offense, you know, spotty effort on defense, not playing together, not playing fast, just doing so many things you didn't like to see. And again, when it showed up again in spurts in those games, it really, like I said, it gave me PTSD. This week, if you clear it, and even if you don't beat the Nets, but you still have an effort game, I still think they can beat them and they should beat them. You're gonna have to feel great about them. Like, I mean, you really are. Like that. These 2 games were terrific games.
I'm getting, like I said it in Brooklyn.
You're getting excited, Bobby.
I think this team can win a championship.
Go ahead,
like, why not? I just keep asking that question. Why not? There's no team in your way that you're like, oh, geez, when you run into them, you're in big trouble. Philly, I feel like you match up really well against this defense. I don't think people are getting into it a little bit and starting to like figure out what's going on here with this, but they really have figured out like a cheat code that no opposing team has a great answer for. There's nights where you're going to slip up, and the Pacers, I thought, put a good game of film together in terms of how you would beat the Celtics defense. But what was the degree of difficulty of that? Like Buddy Hield hitting 8 spot-up jumpers in isolation, and Halliburton hitting circus shots in the lane, and this 50% three-point shooting night from them. It's going to take a lot to beat
both of those games. Truthfully, again, both of those games, 50% from the Pistons, 50% from the Pacers, and in each of those games, the Celtics had a starter out. Granted, teams miss guys all the time, but you're still going to play that card with, well, when the starting lineup's in there and they're playing. And again, this was another potential excuse sort of game, because it's just really your second straight game without Jalen. He played 3 minutes against Atlanta, and they won both of these. Yeah. Like going away late, you know, just
I don't like what's your lingering concern with them? Is there any, Josue?
Honestly, just they're gonna have one of those games where they just don't have it, just because of they're so thin right now without Jalen, and because guys are taking on more minutes. What Al clocked in over 40 or just about 40 minutes, and maybe one of those duds here and there, but for the most part, I'm not concerned, because again, you compare this remaining games to a team like Brooklyn, or you compare this momentum to other teams that they're going to be facing within the next couple of weeks. And I mean, these are sort of the two ones that stood out the most, right? The Memphis Grizzlies game, and then a matinee against the Nets. And, so far so good. So I don't think it'll be detrimental in terms of, like, must wins, or down the road where you're like, oh man, this really want to seal this fourth seed. But overall, I don't see the momentum switching up here, especially because the way they're playing defense right now, and the opponents that are left on the schedule. I mean, things look well for the Celtics right now. I like their chances.
My big concern real quick was that if you lost a single guy, didn't matter who it is, never mind Jaylen Brown, that defense was just going to collapse. Yeah, and it hasn't. Like, they're as good as ever, mixing in Grant, mixing in White. Even Tice has shown to be a factor in all of this. So they have an interchangeability that I didn't expect. They're not a deep team, but they're interchangeable for sure.
No disrespect to Jalen, but his greatest impact is offensively. I think he can be part of that really good defensive unit, but he still had some inconsistencies where I think everybody else in that starting unit is playing at an elite level defensively.
Yeah, if you're weak link 6'7", and
that's what I mean. It's like he's not the weak
strong
link, but you're talking about if defense is the key, and that's their formula to winning, and that's their cheat code. Right now, you saw what happened when Al wasn't there and Rob can't. Because I mean, what unlocked the whole defense? We've talked about it a ton in Ime, and now it's gotten a lot of publicity. Letting Rob roam a little bit, having him play in a non-shooting wing, and let him kind of roam, and then come over and help. And he's gotten to do that. When Al went out and Rob had to play the traditional big, there was a lot of points in the paint, a lot of stuff, a lot of miscommunications, switches, some easy buckets down low. It wasn't as good when Al wasn't down there. And then you lost Marcus in that one game, and obviously that wasn't as good a game for them either. So, and Tatum, I think, is playing extremely high level defense right now. So in that unit, the one guy defensively you're not losing as much with is Jalen. Certainly if he's being replaced in terms of major minutes with a guy like White. But the drop off there with whoever's coming in behind him, I don't think is as significant. But offensively, when you talk about what scares me is I looked at that lineup at a certain point, and I texted you guys when Tatum was out on the floor, and I'm like, who's gonna score here right now? It was Smart, it was White, it was Horford. There was just no shooting out there. I worry that they're just going to go into massive droughts, that they're going to have a hard time getting out of. It's the scoring. That's
a legitimate concern. Like,
it's a house of cards, right?
The Celtics kind of need Tatum to keep this going, right? Not that he needs to score damn near 40 every single night, but having those huge offensive explosions, especially in the second half, I mean, it's essentially what won the game. Without Jalen, guys were sort of cold. I mean, it would have been really tough for them to especially when you have Morant and Baines finally, surging in that second half. And credit to the Celtics defense. That's a big reason why they were off to a slow start. But yeah, I mean, one cold night for Tatum could easily equal an L. That's just where this team is right now, realistically.
The margin of error is small. If they lose a guy, really, really, really small. But I
thought so. You lose Brown and beat the Grizzlies. Like, what?
I'm thinking over a 7-game series. If you had somebody out for an extended
period of time, Tatum scored 30 points in the second half. I mean, like, that's a lot. That's a big advantage.
You just assume everyone's together.
I think it's
right
this small.
With anyone.
They can be when they're fully healthy, and I think they've shown it because, as you said, no matter what, that the other team's going to have to. The other team's going to have to fight really hard for buckets. You'll have a hot shooting. You'll have a hot shooting game, and it works both ways in a 7-game series. Yes, Indiana shot 50% from 3. Detroit shot 50% from 3. They won those games. Indiana won going away. In a 7-game series, some team's not going to shoot 50% from 3 night in, night out. So that means, you're going to hold the team over 7 games to around 100 points multiple times, which means your offense doesn't have to do that much to get up and over. You're going to make it hard for some really good teams to score points because that's just what they do. So the number one thing you can do is just be difficult to play against, And that's, you do that by
They're
what?
really
With
difficult.
the defense they're playing, and you got to push the ball a little bit. So when they're playing with pace on offense and this type of defense, they're a much, much harder team to play against. They have to dictate the pace.
I want to give Rob a nod too. It's going to be a popular conversation pretty soon. 3 blocks, 3 steals in this one.
Don't
For
say it,
him
Bobby.
winning Defensive Player of
Don't
the
say
Year.
it.
If they're the number 1 defense by miles at the end of the year, and he's the key to the system that they put together here that's unbreakable, he's got to be there with Bam and all these other different guys that you have in that conversation. He probably already is.
I
It
won't
just
be
hasn't been a
shocked if he gets
popular
some votes.
take.
I think.
No,
I mean,
he could be right there for winning it.
I don't know.
No, but I
about
won't
that,
be shocked
Bobby.
if he gets some
Yeah, because it's such a
votes this year.
collective effort, you know. And I feel like he's on his way. Like he could get there one day. You know, votes for the all defensive team for sure. But I don't know if he gets enough to win the all. You know, that's got to be a goal for him, a career goal for sure. But I just think because of how they collectively play defense, I think it's a bit obvious that he's a big part of it. But he's not the reason why this team is the number 1 defense in the NBA right now.
I think he is. What else would you point to?
I think it's a combination of him and Al. I really do. I mean, granted, he's it falls more on him compared to Al, but like John said, when Al's not out there, it's different. It's a different defense. Whereas he's not the guy who can anchor things on his own. You know what I mean?
Well, you got Rudy, obviously. You got Green, who's missed a ton of time. Giannis, and then he's probably right there with Jaren Jackson.
The reason I love Rob defensively is because, you know, the ability, the switch ability, and the ability to go out there and guard the perimeter, which most guys his size can't do. That block that he had, who was it on, where he picked him up on a switch up high? The guy had him go into his left, and Rob stayed with him the whole way, and he swatted it. And then Al got the block off of Adams on the follow. That was brilliant. I mean, that was beautiful because it's like,
and he hit the elbow jumper tonight, John.
And he hit the elbow jumper.
That block by Tice on Morant, that was clean.
That was clean. If anything, Morant got the elbow on that, hit Tice in the head with his elbow.
That was a big moment.
You felt
if they
for Tice
lost,
too.
That would have been.
You felt for him because he positioned that perfectly. Not only the timing, but he angled his body to make sure he didn't hit him with the body. You know, and then they still gave him the foul.
That was a bad move by Ime not challenging that, and then he ended up challenging something stupid at the end that they lost on anyway. We didn't talk about that.
I was thinking that too.
We didn't talk about that little sequence there, but the Grizzlies really went on a good run after that, and that could have easily turned into some trouble in the 4th. They should have challenged that one for sure.
Yeah,
slight hit on Ime on a good night.
Right. But yeah, I'm with you on the Rob stuff because you're right. He's not a traditional big in the sense of like he's not muscling it up with the big guys, but his impact all over the floor is unbelievable. Just because, I mean, he can be standing under the basket and challenge a 3. He can be guarding the 3. He can be guarding the 3-point line and come all the way over for a help side block. You don't even know he's there. Half the blocks he has, nobody even saw him in the picture because he covers so much.
To you, John. We all imagine like these different ways he could become this brilliant player, this all-star, this guy who's really one of the stars of the game and a 3rd star here.
Yeah.
He's starting to show that if he just keeps like digging deeper into these things that he does and does them at like the top of his game, at the top of the NBA, he can be a star in that rate. Like it doesn't have to be a traditional guy who's scoring 20 points and got the ball in his hands a ton. The things he does, if he maximizes them, take this team to a special place. And he's their X factor.
Well, that's the thing is we're hung up on, and I still think it's there because again we're talking about it where he hit a jumper tonight. I still think that part of his game, a little face-up jumper, is he can have that if he wants it, and I think if he develops,
so confident. He had taken it all year, and
he just gave up on it, man. It was like,
he just gave up on it. He did it last year.
Next summer, I'll try it.
But we harp on that as a focal point and a couple of post moves and this and that. But really, the biggest key for him was just playing high energy all the time without being a spaz. You know, not getting lost, just being a little bit more cerebral out there, not leaving his feet all the time. The fact that he has, that his foul count is so much lower this year. What's he have, more blocks than fouls this year or some ridiculous stat? That's what's insane to me is if he just not being like not being basically Aaron Nesmith, not being like just running around like a chicken, that little self-control while also playing high energy and flying all over the places is what makes the difference.
Yeah,
like that's his leap this year.
But
his leap this year is just not being not doing the frustrating things nearly as much.
And the minutes too. Remember last year? Like I read a quote from a year ago on Brad, and you were right, John. It was like, why isn't he playing more? Why isn't he starting? He was playing 25 minutes a game, and Brad was like, I read the quote. It was like, oh, we just don't want to bring him along too fast. And it was like, what? Why? And he had the hip thing that he talked about and the injuries. It all looks like nonsense now. They've
nonsense.
Ime's like, what minutes limit? What minutes limit? And they're just letting him loose. I remember my jaw.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I called bullshit on that instantly. I was like, no, Brad. No, you never said that. You never hinted you were bringing him along. Give me a break.
The quote I read, I'm going to send it in the Discord later because it's just so goofy looking back on it. The only reason they're like, wait, why isn't Rob playing more? He's just like, yeah, we just want to bring him along slowly. And it's like, why? And there's no real answer to it. Man, they killed themselves not taking more advantage of him last year. Huh?
I know. I mean, look,
those minutes and
Bobby, I spent 50% of last year saying that every game, like unlock the beast, like let him free. But whatever.
They got it this year. That was the key of the coach change. Like
blessing in disguise.
Approach this a different way. Yeah.
Everything is slow on the development, And again, I'm not comparing this to the other rookies because again, they might not be able to play at all, and they might not have NBA careers.
But let's also be clear. He's much better this year. He made a lot of mistakes last year that he's not making this year.
That's
at the
the
same
key.
Time. So
there's
a development. There's a development that definitely went on behind the scenes last year too, and having Al back has had a big impact on him. Obviously, Josue, we talk about Al's impact there. It's tremendous what he's become here because I'm right with you at this point, John. There were a lot of different deals I would have considered for him. There was a point this year where I said, all right, he's on the rise. Like, this is what you want, so you can deal him. Now he's untouchable. There's not a guy in the league I would trade him for.
No, I'm with you.
He's untouchable. He's so critical to what you're doing.
Huh.
He is legitimate. Like, I can just imagine, John, they're going to go on this big run, and who knows if they'll win a championship, but they'll be in that conversation, and there's going to be that big article and whatever you want to talk about nationally, and it's going to be like an ESPN headline story in a big series. Oh, look at what Rob became, and look at what it allowed the Celtics to do. He's legitimately a cheat code that the NBA can't solve right now in terms of his defense. It's captivating. And I know Zach Lowe and some others were on it early. Like, it is really special what they've built here. And I think people are starting to learn about it, but it's going to become an even bigger story as this year goes on, what this team has done defensively here.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll wrap it up. We're back Sunday. Josue, any final thoughts here?
No, just keep the defense the way it's been and look for someone to come up big here because I feel like we could see a Grant Williams game. I don't know. That's what I'm itching towards. I think Matinee, Grant, I don't know. He's just going to be
national
a bit more,
TV Grant. You like
national
that?
TV Grant, be a bit more spry, maybe gets a 3 or 4 3-pointers and ends up with like 17, 18 points, something like that. I think that'll go a long way. Kind of similar to what I would say similar to what Marcus did, but just a completely different approach, right? Something like that. Marcus had 18 tonight. That went a long way, I thought. So something like that.
Grant, 3 for 3 from 3 tonight.
Yeah, I think that carries over. And the way he's been putting the ball on the floor a bit, attacking, I think that's significant as well. So we'll look for that. I think out of the guys that are the one that needs to step up here, I think he's going to be the one.
It's incredible what he's doing already. This team, like, everything's just hitting this year. It's crazy between Horford, Rob, Tatum, White, Smart. Everybody's just having that year, right? And that's what makes you start to dream a little bit. When everything's going right for a group and everybody's playing to their potential and having kind of career years in certain areas, and you see that growth at the top of the team fundamentally. Like, a lot of the character stuff we talked about, and obviously it's Tatum's birthday, right? 24 today. A lot of his growth as a leader, the intangible stuff I wrote about a couple of days ago, him like mentoring or not mentoring Horford, like urging Horford to keep shooting and keeping his confidence high,
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
like
that.
that. Yeah.
That's the leadership stuff, the intangible stuff we really harped on with him. Jimmy especially. Jimmy was like, oh, I don't know if this guy can ever be a leader. And he was kind of brushing it off with the captain stuff at the start of the year, right? At some point that changed. And he's starting to embrace that vocal side. They're lifting in the locker rooms after the games, and he seems to be the guy kind of rallying that. Tatum has definitely changed, like from a personality standpoint this year, for sure.
You know, for some people, and this could be beyond like, you know, sometimes this can happen regardless of where you are. You enter a new job, you don't know the office that much. Everyone knows each other, blah, blah, blah. You got to develop your relationships, your alliances. Like, feels like he's just more comfortable with everything now. You know, it's like before you enter the situation with the veterans and you got to be a little quiet, then it's kind of asked of you, but you got this guy Jalen next to you and you guys are kind of 1 and 1A and he's got a year on you and other stuff. And then there's Gordon, and I don't know about this guy, but Brad seems to like him. So what am I supposed to do? And then Kemba, who's kind of a personality guy, and he's supposed to bring it.
That's pretty much what he said in that interview.
Yeah.
That podcast.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Yo,
right?
It was Kyrie, and we was all trying to get the second spot. I'm like, no Gordon, huh? Nothing.
Yeah,
okay.
we're all trying to be number 2, and we didn't like this guy. But but all of that stuff, and now it's like, all right, that's cool. So Grant, I like him. Does he get to stay? Cool, because he's kind of my guy, and I like this guy, and like now he's just kind of more comfortable in his own skin, and it just takes time. So you just see it a little bit more. I still wish he'd stop going to the friggin' bike, man. But whatever. Just stop it. Just hey, sit with the guys. Sit with the guys. But yeah, he I think he's recognizing like it really is all up to me. You know, like in the worst moments of this team, whether it's this year or last year, the thing I always thought was you had a lot of guys with talent who are looking around the room waiting for somebody else to step up and do the big thing. You know, no one just said, I'm doing it, you know, and like it's me. I think Tatum's finally kind of embracing that of like, I will do that. I will handle the ball, set the tone, make, you know, so all of that stuff is kind of, but you're right, Bobby. He didn't want it at the beginning of the year. It evolved. And that's another feather in Ime's cap for getting him to get there because this was a joke. I mean, we don't have to revisit it all from the beginning of the year. That was a disgrace how the coach came in and wanted clearly to empower people, and they were like, nah.
I love Ime, man. He is,
and he did. That's him right now, right? That has to be him who's brought Tatum along with him and be like, you're the guy, man. I want you to be the guy. Let's go. You know,
right?
And there's limits to what a coach can do, right? But man, he is reaching like the peak of that impact for sure. And there's a funny quote. We'll wrap it up here with this. I guess he got asked about the third quarter adjustments out of halftime, and Udoka said, "Hey, coach of the month."
Hey,
I didn't even know there was. I didn't even know there was a thing. Yeah,
yeah, it's a thing.
He deserved it for sure. I mean,
Doc
he's
used
going
to
to
get
be in
it
the
on the
coach
reg
of the
back
year
in the day.
conversation.
Doc stacked a lot of those.
Yeah, he did.
Right.
So good stuff. Bobby and Josue, we'll let you guys do your thing. Thanks, guys, for watching. You see the graphic here on the screen. But, of course, the Nets, that's another big one, so we'll have that. The other thing I wanted to mention, what do I want to mention? Discord. We're on Discord, so join us. CLNSmedia.com/Discord. We hop over there, chat with you guys during games, after games. Jimmy's on there a ton. Our producer Amit lives on there, I think, so he's probably there now hanging with you guys.
That was fun. That was a good time.
Fun Bobby memes make their way on there. That's fun.
Yeah.
But it's a good time. We've got a good the community is growing. It's really here for you guys. It's for you guys to have an opportunity to have a place where you can keep the conversation going, whether we're there or not. And it's pretty active. It's pretty lively. There's a lot of people who've already joined up. So if you haven't already, check it out. CLNSmedia.com/Discord. It is fun. We will be appearing there from time to time. As we said, to join the chat, but also to do kind of like little audio rooms. What do you even call it on that server there? What was that called when you?
It's just an event. Honestly, it's just an event. You'll see an event.
Stage, an event. Yeah. And you guys, I think it was Josue and Sherrod, ended up talking to a bunch of
Yeah,
people
that was
last
fun
time.
last night. Yeah, we had a lot of people shy though. Come on, guys. I know we like to ball bust, but we'll be easy with you guys. We had a few people hop on though. That was fun.
I'm talking to you, Dudley. I'm talking to, I don't know where my man Kess is.
Yeah, where you guys at?
Come on, come on.
It's better. I mean, you see these Lakers
at the same time,
it's
John,
better when things are going bad.
I want to get it out there that you don't have to have like a thing. You don't have to put on an act. Just join the conversation. Don't be shy. I mean, we won't give you a hard time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to encourage it as much as I can.
Come on, Cass, Chris, Karen, Dud. We miss you guys.
Dudley.
Yeah, we miss you guys. So jump in there.
Make sure you get Celtics All Access too.
That was my closing lineup right there. Chris, Kess, Dudley, and Karen. Those were the closers back from the locker room days.
Oh, that was unreal. That was like, it's what the Lakers are having go on now. Like, I live in those Lakers spaces after they lose. It's funny stuff.
And George would pop in there. George, we could talk about Greek food on there. Absolutely.
You can go in there and be happy.
George, I'm about to make some fakes, actually. That's lentil soup. It's Greek lentil soup. Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, we'll do all of that stuff again. Thanks guys for hanging. I'm going to pop into the chat right now at Discord and hang out for a little bit, see what you guys are talking about. But the rest of the guys, like I said, they've got stuff to do there at the Garden, many hours ahead. So we'll talk to you guys later. Head over to the Celtics All Access channel. You'll see Bobby and Josue's wrap up
on the court tonight. We got it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Heading to the court. Hold on, I've got a graphic for this. All Access. Where's All Access? I can't find it. But you know what it is. Celtics All Access. Subscribe there. We'll see you guys again on Sunday.